Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast for all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time. I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to discuss whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here because God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are live in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock. The water collects in a natural artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. And I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers who continue giving on the Give segment of our app to support the broadcast at New Life Delaware, we thank you for your continued support and your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life that you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We don't take you for granted for your giving and your support of the broadcast. Those of you that continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life Delaware, and those who have made a weekly and monthly commitment, we appreciate your support and your commitment always. We do not take any of that for granted. There's significant cost of infrastructure cost involved in being on the air 6 days a week, and we are here for you. And you now can call or text every day on the T-Mobile call or text line to discuss whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or difficult to navigate. So you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families, dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And we are concerned about being whole, body, mind, and spirit. So before we get deep into the broadcast, I want to remind everyone that tomorrow, the first Thursday of the month, our monthly contributor, Rebecca Buva, will be with us right here in 3D, BeccaTheDietitian.com. Will be here to address, first of all, she's going to discuss with us a topic of dietary guidelines for 2020 to 2025. You don't want to miss this. You want to be here, and you want to encourage your family, your friends, your coworkers, and colleagues to tune in. Rebecca Buva is a licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist. She's also a fitness expert, but she's licensed and registered as a dietitian and a nutritionist. So you do not want to miss this. It's going to make certain that we are healthy, body, mind, and spirit throughout the year. She's with us the first Thursday of every month, and that means tomorrow, live right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. You can go on her website at BeccaTheDietitian.com, and you can look around to see what services she provides. And in addition to that, she also is accepting insurances right now. I know for sure she takes Independent Blue Cross, and she also takes Aetna. And she's going to be adding some additional certifications from insurance companies moving forward. So you don't want to miss this because you have the opportunity to enhance your health and wellness. So tomorrow, right here in 3D, from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m., our monthly contributor, Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist. Make certain you do not miss this. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your former manager never kept you informed while working under her, and working under her as your manager. Now you've been promoted and noticed that she is much more interactive with the person who is now in your previous position. So I thought this was very interesting. I was prayerful about this, and I want to say to you that you have to understand that there's a couple of dynamics going on here, and it's nothing personal directed towards you. And the reason that I say that is because people have different management styles. And you have to recognize that. You have to recognize that her management style was not to keep you in the loop or engaged. And part of that comes from the fact that this was her first management position. So people have different management styles, but this was her first time managing employees. So she was trying to learn her method of managing, of being a manager. So the reason she didn't keep you informed about a lot of things is because she had to make certain that she was doing things the right way. She didn't want to get someone else involved in the sense of, sharing information with you and then you share the information with someone else. So she just didn't know what to expect. She was developing herself as a manager. And the person that she reported to was not developing her. So she was getting a crash course in management. And you've got to understand that there was nothing personal. Here's how you know it was nothing personal. Because you've now been promoted. She managed you her own way, and because she managed you effectively and efficiently, you've now been promoted. So you've been in your new position as a manager, and now you're learning how to manage your direct reports. You've got to understand that there's a process to learning to manage people, and right, wrong, or indifferent, what you've learned from her is either what to do or what not to do. So let me give you a real example of that. And as a pastor, this is one of my favorite analogies for leadership and becoming a great leader. So you had King David, who was the king of Israel. So prior to him being king, he was King Saul's armor bearer. He was his cupbearer. He was the person who was closest to King Saul, other than King Saul's son Jonathan. And I say all of that to say, he watched Saul rule as king over the kingdom. He also had to live with Saul trying to kill him. And yet what he learned from that experience, because God did not allow Saul to kill him, and as we know, David eventually became king of Israel. What he learned from Saul was how not to rule and how to rule the right way. So what you have to recognize is that whatever you have to go back and look at what you learned from her, both right, wrong, or indifferent. And you have to decide what information or what behavioral traits that you can now apply or not apply as a manager. Because there's something to be learned from that experience. You may want to keep the person who's working under you directly, your direct report. You may want to keep them informed if you feel that they are governing your affairs with discretion. You may also decide that that's not the person that you can entrust with all the internal information. But in your previous position, in your manager's case, I'm going to tell you what God showed me in that secret place, and that is, it was nothing personal. She was just learning how to manage people. She had never been a manager before she was placed in that position. And then when you began to work under her, she was still trying to navigate learning how to manage people. So her choices were maybe to keep you uninformed until she understood what she was doing. Now you might say, well, if they promoted her to manager, why was she not prepared to manage? And the answer to that is that she had done such a good job within the company in the positions that she had been in previously that they promoted her to manager because they really felt that she would figure it out. And apparently she did, because if it had not been for her, you might not have been promoted. See, you're only looking at what you feel the relationship should have been, but the truth of the matter is the relationship got you to a place of experience where you could be promoted to a manager. Now, listen to this very carefully. You're now a manager and she's still a manager, but she was able to bring you to the next level. She was able to get you to the next level by training you over time, whether it was, well, to be a good manager. But now you have to learn to manage. Now, truth is, you were at another company previously, so you did have a manager's position there, but when you came in here, you didn't come in as a manager. And now you're a manager again. And you think it's because of your skills from your previous position, and I'm here to tell you it's because, first of all, she gave you a good reference for promotion. Second of all, you've now been elevated to the same level that she's on. Because now what she's doing is, and I'm going to touch on this for all of our listeners and viewers, what she's doing now is preparing herself for the next level, to be a director. You're never working for the job you have, you're working for the job you want. You work the job that you have and be the best version of yourself in that position that you possibly can become. And while you're doing that, you're preparing yourself for the next level. So this is for all of our listeners and viewers. And some of you may have heard me say this before, but at the end of the day, you're never working for the job you have. You do the job you have, and you do it effectively and efficiently. But you're always working for the job you desire. You're always working for the next level. If you're not working for the next level, we're wasting God's time. We're always working to get to the next level in God. We're always working to maximize our success, to get to the next level that God has appointed for our lives. But we have to keep working to get there. And so you don't need to go back and revisit with her what your relationship was when you reported to her. What you need to do now is you need to focus on managing people who are working under you. And I'm going to make a recommendation to you because the Spirit of God just revealed this to me, and I'm going to encourage you to do this. Now, you should take the time to ask her to mentor you. Because she's going to go to the next level. I can promise you this. She has worked diligently within the company. She may be a manager today, you're a manager today, but she's going to be promoted to a director. And I'm going to tell you this. She's going to be promoted to a director in the next year. Within the next year, she will be a director. I'm going to encourage you to ask her to mentor you. And the reason is because you'll still be a manager and she'll be a director. And you want to prepare yourself for the next level. And the only way you can do that is by having someone who can give you the insight. Because now she feels comfortable where she is. That's why she was able to recommend you for a promotion. She's comfortable where she is, but she's going to be working to get to the next level. And they already have their eyes on her. They will be moving her up. She is going to get promoted to a director. And I would tell her that you understand that you know that you know she's going to become a director. And you want to be mentored so that you can be prepared that every level that she goes to the next level, you want to be right behind her. You're looking at what you thought the relationship should be, and for all intents and purposes, everything has worked in your favor. And to God be the glory. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue where you can become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a monthly discount on your T-Mobile bill at America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are finally suffering from COVID fatigue, and it is your desire to be out and about with friends. However, you are doing your best to remain safe during this time and healthy during this time, and you want to know how do you maintain your sanity. So let me say this to you. I'm going to say what I've been saying to people over and over again. This is not going to last forever. Now, I've talked about us turning the curve, going around the bend of COVID-19, and people may say, well, we're still in the midst of this. And that's true, except we have a vaccine now. So we know that we have a way to combat the coronavirus. So that's a positive. And the good news is that because we have a vaccine, that is going to begin addressing the pandemic, because it will address the virus, and we will be able to move around again. So therefore, in a normal way. So therefore, this is coming to an end. Let me say that. But we all want to remain healthy and safe, and that's being rational adults. There are some measures that are being put in place right now to reduce the spread again, contain the spread again. And I've been reading about that, and the reality is that there's going to be some mandates that require additional masking. There's going to be there's going to be some additional measures put in place, protocols put in place, so that people who were reluctant to participate will now be participating in the health policies. So having said that, let me say this to you. Maintaining your sanity is not a difficult thing to do when you identify what's driving you insane, for lack of a better term. I'm just using that as an analogy. So let's talk about the COVID fatigue. Now, I recently had a conversation with my wife regarding people who have been sharing with her that they're suffering from, burnout, COVID burnout. People have been sharing that with her, and she shared that with me, and we're of course praying for others. And COVID burnout and COVID fatigue are not the same thing. So you're not burned out, but you're fatigued. You're tired from not having COVID, but from being restricted by COVID. So you want to be out and about with your friends, but you have rational friends who don't want to be out and about right now either, because that's rational. So we have to say to ourselves, there are things we can do as long as we take necessary measures to protect ourselves. So first of all, I'm going to tell you how to get over the fatigue. You're going to need to be re-energized. So I'm encouraging everyone to work out at home. If you're not in the gym, work out at home. There are upper body exercises that you can do from home. There are lower body exercises that you can do from home, and there are full body workouts that you can do from home. Even if you just go and if you don't have dumbbells, go and buy some light dumbbells. You don't have to be buying dumbbells that are incredibly heavy. You could max out at 25 or 35 pounds and maybe get a couple of sets of dumbbells. But even if you don't do that, you can do push-ups, you can do sit-ups, leg lifts, you can do glute exercises, you can do squats, you can do there are exercises that we can do from home just to energize ourselves, okay, so that we're not fatigued. And trust me when I tell you, you can get a full body workout right at home with just some light dumbbells and nothing else. But if you've got a jump rope, you can get some cardio in. If you live in our region and you were out shoveling snow over the last 2 days, you can get a good cardio workout there. But there are things you can do that will energize you so that you're not feeling COVID fatigued. You're outside, even if you're out taking a brisk walk now, there are things you can do to be energized. And there are ways that you can communicate with your friends, even by simply doing Zoom. So you can communicate with one another. You could have tea parties. You can. I'm not going to recommend that anybody has a happy hour, but because people have been drinking too much while they're in this COVID phase of the pandemic. The reality is there are things you can do with friends. You can just sit and have conversations, or how about just picking up the telephone and having a conversation? Part of the problem is people don't pick up the telephone, so they spend all their time texting, and eventually, that just creates fatigue also. So pick up the telephone and talk to one another. It's my accountability partner and I talk at least once a week. About our workouts, what we're doing to try and stay healthy at home, because this is going to come to an end. And when it does, we want to be in a good frame of mind. We want to have good physical, emotional, and mental health. Psychological health, I should say that. So there are things you can do that aren't focused on COVID fatigue. I'm tired of being shut in. I'm tired of working from home. You can find a lot of things to be tired about. And when you start talking about being tired, eventually you will become fatigued. So we want to do what we can do to be healthy, to be safe, and to be well. And if we do those things, you're going to find out that you are less fatigued, you are feeling much more refreshed, and you will feel like you are getting back to some semblance of normalcy. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, check their store hours, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. I'm in Charles Tyrwhitt Attire today. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. and The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. If you're in New York, check for the store hours, stop in at the retail store. They have everything that you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. If you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel like you are moving in many different directions. You want to know, how can you get back in focus with all of what you are doing needs to be done. Okay, so the good news is that you've identified that everything you're doing must be done. So you're not wasting time. So that's a positive. But you feel like you're being pulled in a lot of different directions. You said you feel like you're moving in a lot of different directions. And I'm going to tell you the underlying factor is that you feel that you're being pulled in a lot of different directions, and you don't feel that you're able to get everything accomplished effectively and efficiently. So you want to know, how can you get back in focus? And the answer to that is to eliminate the distractions. Don't allow distractions to become part of your process so that you can continue to make progress. You've got to, I say to people, you have to reduce and eliminate distractions. In your case, you can't just reduce distractions, you're going to have to eliminate them. You're going to have to identify every distraction that is occurring in your life right now and simply eliminate it. Now, what does that look like? So you have some family issues going on right now that are not within your control. There's absolutely nothing you can do to resolve those issues. They are family issues that are created by family members that they're going to have to resolve on their own. So eliminate that from your daily routine. I'm not suggesting you shouldn't take time out to pray for them daily, but I am suggesting that because you cannot resolve their issues, that you have to eliminate that from your daily calendar. Can't be part of it. It's a distraction. Your relationship, the ups and downs of sometimes, you two are on the same page, sometimes you two are on opposite ends of the spectrum. You have to eliminate your concern about the relationship because it's a distraction. Now you might say, well, how do I eliminate the concerns of the relationship when I'm in the relationship? Well, the way to eliminate the concerns in a relationship are stop focusing on the negative and focus on the positives. Whatever brought you to the relationship, focus on the positives and stop focusing on the negative things. So let me give you an example of that, because God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. Many of you have heard me use the term that you cannot make marriage or a relationship a job. You work to develop and make a marriage or relationship successful, but you can't make it a job. When it becomes a job, you then are going to be concerned and frustrated because there's always going to be ebbs and flows within a relationship. There are going to be challenges and difficulties within a relationship. And the reason is because you have two people bringing their life experiences to the relationship. And if you focus on the negative aspects of that, there's always going to be a problem within the relationship. And then stop trying to pick everything apart. So one of the things that I recognize in a lot of relationships, people are always finding something negative to focus on. And if they don't find something, they'll create something negative to focus on. And sometimes people do things within a relationship just to get a reaction. You're making it too much work. Just eliminate all of those issues from the relationship, and you'll be able to be at peace within your relationship without having concerns. You'll be able to live life and enjoy a better quality of life, but you once and for all will eliminate that distraction. And you will be able to make the progress that's necessary on a daily basis to get everything done that you know must be done without